Although no one has ever said it in the comment section of any of my videos, I'm sure people have thought of it. They've thought of it. Who hurt you? Renz, who hurt you? Because I tell many of the stories that I tell are personal stories of things that happened in my life with relationships that I've had over the 53 years that I've been alive. Many people, if you only listen to a part of the story and not pay attention to the middle or the end of the story, I take personal accountability for decisions that I've made. I took personal accountability for getting married at 19, too young, didn't know myself. Took personal responsibility for not being great at problem solving in that marriage. My fault. Acted out. My fault. I take accountability in rushing into another marriage. My fault. Ignoring certain red flags, not giving the person time to recognize who they really are. My fault. Thinking that a long-term friendship is going to work out when they decide to show red flags of insecurities and controlling behavior. My fault. My fault. Getting involved with someone who tells an atrocious lie in the very beginning of the relationship and the lie has been told. I don't know if I ever told that story, but the lie is being told to cover up a hurt. My fault. In all my stories, there is personal accountability. But that is one of the things that most people don't do. Most people will not take personal accountability for the part of the relationship that they messed up. One of the more interesting things about social media is that I'm not the type of person who, oh, we broke up, so I'm going to block you from my social media. I'm going to, block you from all these accounts. We break up, I don't really give a damn. If you still watch my social media, if your stuff still pops up in my feed, I really don't care. And I don't really go and read them. I'm not the type of person that if I loved your kids or your siblings or your parents or whatever, I'm not going about taking time to block, 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 block. So whether I see your stuff or not, I see other family members things. I see some of your friends, some of your, people of that nature, your family members, your friends and all this stuff. I still see what they put on their timeline. And from time to time, I see what's going on in your life. And I could care less. But one of the things that I notice is that within the first year, some 2 years, some still going on, the person is still mad and the person has never taken accountability for their part of the demise of the relationship. Whether it was a wife or a girlfriend or live with, they've never taken personal responsibility. There's only been a few instances where I've seen a smidgen of personal responsibility and accountability for what went on, for what happened. But as far as everything else, I am completely to blame in every mishap that's happened in their life during that time frame that we were together and since. It is all my fault. It is all things that I did. I'm fine with it. I know my truth. I know what I said. I know what I did. I know what I didn't say. I know what I didn't do. So I'm perfectly fine. As long as you don't attack my personal character or falsely accuse me of things, I'm fine. Believe what you want to believe. But when I tell my story, I add my personal accountability to it. I'll tell you where I messed up. And the fact of the mess ups, because I can tell you, so let me rephrase that. The fact that I can tell you that I know where I've messed up in certain relationships, whether it is allowing for the relationship to continue in the first place, allowing it to progress to the point that it progressed, not reading the red flags or reading the tea leaves or thinking that I can make some changes. It's not going to continue to, I have to make more and more changes until I have made enough that I'm not going to make any more, and then it blows up. I realize that you don't change for anybody. Consistently be yourself at all times. You see, I learned that lesson. I will always be me. Never change who I am. Accommodate you to a certain degree. But for the most part, I'm not accommodating anything. I'm going to be me. I have my ways of thinking about money. I'm going to maintain my ways of thinking about money and how we should function. I have my ways of thinking about sex. I'm going to maintain that. I'm not going to diminish it, or I'm not going to go in a direction that I have absolutely no desire to go in. I'm not doing that. If that doesn't work for you, then we should end this. How I live, where I live, I'm not changing where I live or how I live for anyone. It's not going to happen. I've been smoking cigars since I was 23 years old. It's not going to change for no one. If you don't like it, you should not be with me. So I realized that. My wife smokes cigars. I wouldn't have it any other way. If she didn't smoke cigars, she wouldn't be my wife, because this is a big part of my life. I have a whole channel based on cigars. He used to own a cigar lounge. Going to cigar lounges is one of my favorite things. This house was chosen. One of the reasons this house was chosen is because of this backyard and this deck. And there's a smoke room in the house. I'm going to have a smoke room in the house. If it's not something that a person can't deal with, we're just not going to be together. But see, the old me would have said, oh, well, I just smoke outside. And then when it's raining or it's cold, I don't want to be out there. Sometimes even having the fire pit going, I don't want to be out there. So there are certain things you just don't change. But I take accountability for the things that I have changed that ultimately were part of the ruining of that relationship. So what I'm telling you is, before you get into your next relationship, or if you're in a relationship right now, take personal accountability for the things that you've done in the past. Take personal accountability for the things that you're doing right now. Stop looking to blame the other person for the decisions that you've made or for the actions that you've taken. Until you take personal accountability from them, you can never learn from them. And if you haven't learned from your previous mistakes, then you will never, ever grow into the greatest version of yourself so that you can have a better relationship. Accountability is at the forefront of growth. And so if you are not taking accountability, I would suggest that you start taking accountability right now. Go through your past. Look at all the things you did. All the things you did. Did you use sex as a weapon? Did you take advantage of someone financially? Did you take advantage of someone's intellect? Were you being controlling? Were you being rude? Did you have insecurities? Did you carry baggage from previous relationships? Did you ignore certain red flags? Take accountability, and you will find that your life will get better, that your relationships will get better. Because then in your present day, you have an argument or disagreement with your spouse or significant other, and instead of just blaming them and being all emotional, you'll look at yourself in the mirror and take levels of accountability. And that will fix the issue instead of putting a band-aid on the issue. So my question, have you or do you take accountability for your part of relationships that were messed up or relationships you should have never been in? And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.